Welcome to Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation possible. You will get to hear from CSIA system integrators and industry partners to get a better understanding of how they help their clients solve process challenges and how they've earned success in their careers. Along the way, we will touch on system integration best practices, technology, trends, and challenges. Whether you are a manufacturer, end user, supplier, or system integrator, you will enjoy the insights these industry professionals bring to this podcast. Let's get started. Hi, my name is Lisa Richter, the host of Talking Industrial Automation, a podcast where you get to know the people who make modern industrial automation and processing possible. In today's episode, we're talking industrial automation with Barry Anderson, who is director of Latsa Learning Services, an Australian-based company that provides a suite of management consulting and certified, customized project and process management training services. Barry's more than 30 years of experience includes serving as National Estimation Manager for the largest systems integrator in Australia. In addition to estimation and bid management, Barry's extensive experience includes installation, supervision, design, both electrical and controls, and project and contract management. Currently, he is an independent process design and management consultant specializing in estimation systems, industrial control, project management, contract management, and concept development. Barry, welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Lisa. Thanks for having me.
So let's start at the beginning and help us understand why you chose a career in automation, or maybe the career chose you.
It's actually a little bit of both. I started with a fairly large industrial electrical company back in the 70s when control systems were hardwired relays, push buttons, pilot lights, and PLCs were just starting to be heard of. I was fortunate enough to spend almost a year in the middle of Australia on a coal mine where we were doing a stacker and reclaimer project, and the project consisted of about a full suite of PLC ones and some ISSC PLCs for the ancient ones amongst us. Having done that project, I was hooked into the control systems. From that, I progressed through supervision, design, project management, estimation, mainly worked in power generation, grain handling, water and wastewater, oil and gas. By the time I got through all that, I got headhunted by some SIs to help improve their estimation systems, and finally ended up with Sage Automation in 2005. From that, progressed to working for myself.
How do you describe to lay people what you do?
Basically, just help companies to improve systems and processes to allow them to effectively win the type of work that they want to.
Talk to me a little bit about the history of how Latsa began and how it evolved in the automation industry.
So the company actually came from a systems integrator's background. All three directors worked in management at Sage Automation, and we were instrumental in Sage gaining the CSIA accreditation. The skills gained from that and prior to Sage have been put to use to help in a range of companies over the years. It was natural for us to partner with CSIA and spend some time back in the systems integrator space. And we're putting our skill sets together to both provide training courses and also best practices auditing.
Do you specialize in any industry, product, or discipline?
While we specialise in training and business analysis and process improvement, our services really cover a wide range of industry. We do enjoy getting back into the SI space where possible, and our training centres around business and project skills.
What other suppliers do you partner with?
We partner with a range of well-respected training providers to be able to supply the best possible training outcomes. Companies like APMG, PeopleCert, Learning Tree International. Plus, we also do bespoke training courses on top of that as well.
How has Latsa grown or changed in the past year, and what do you expect for the company in the next 12 to 24 months?
The training side of the business has really seen a need to transition from mostly face-to-face to virtual training. We expect that trend to go with the better platforms also becoming available as well.
What would you say is the smartest decision your company has made recently?
We used to be involved with two companies. So there was Astor, which was a consulting business, and Latsa, which was a training business. So back a few months ago, we decided to merge the two companies together. So we now provide a seamless training and consulting offering under one entity.
What's unique about how you approach a project?
All of us have both a broad and a deep understanding, which we've gained from the School of Hard Knocks, as to what works in business. This experience is really brought to both the training and consulting sides as well.
Help me understand why your customers return to you project after project.
I think it's really simply passion, genuine interest combined with experience. We've proven to be reliable, experienced, and we like to think we deliver certainty.
Tell us about your work with SIs.
So we've got two certified best practices and benchmarks auditors, myself being one of them. We've currently got the estimation training, which is being very well received. And we're in discussion for future training, which is based on the CSIA member feedback as well.
So let's talk a little bit about estimating projects. What are some of the mistakes system integrators make when it comes to estimating?
So, it's not really just systems integrators. It seems to be a standard thing everywhere. The main mistake I come across is not conducting a decent go, no-go on projects before expending the time and effort to quote them. One of my favourite lines is win more by quoting less. In other words, focus more attentions on the projects that suit you, and you've got a better chance of winning.
What do you mean by a decent go or no-go?
Okay, so most companies, if they're invited to quote on a project or they see it advertised somewhere, will just get excited and just decide they're going to expend the time and effort to quote it. Go, no-go process is really about looking at your core principles of what you believe is the right project for you, analysing whether this particular project you're looking at is actually fits within those core principles, and whether you've got the available people to do a decent effort of quoting it as well, and whether you've got a half a chance of winning it. If you say no to any of those, don't do it, basically. Move on to something that you've got a chance of winning.
Yeah, so make sure that the projects that you're bidding on is actually a good fit for you before you put a ton of time and effort into it.
Exactly.
So if you could give one piece of advice to a system integrator about estimating projects, what would it be?
To have a systematic approach and to continuously improve that systematic approach as well. You need to evaluate each of the projects and feed that back into your quoting system so you're continually getting better. And also work on the system itself. So you create a decent system and just continue to work for it to make sure it works for you rather than you working for it.
So after each project, maybe you do sort of a debrief session where you say this worked, this didn't, and then what can we put back into the system that will help us for the next time?
Yeah, we tend to class that as a lessons learned. So both good and bad lessons. If it's good, great, continue doing it. If it's a bad lesson, stop doing it and change the way you go about it.
Right. Why did you decide to develop the estimation training course for CSIA?
It had been on our radar for a while as there's not a lot available out in the marketplace. We'd been working on a face-to-face course when we started talking to Jose at the CSIA. And he showed us a survey that pointed out that estimation was an area that desperately needed training. And also the survey pointed out that an online self-paced course would be the preferred method to do this sort of thing as well. So just started matching up well. So away we went.
Yeah, so for those of you who may not know, Jose is Jose Rivera, who is the CEO of CSIA and my boss. So let's be nice to him and make sure we give him a shout out here.
And a genuinely good one.
Exactly. So this course is fairly new. Like we basically launched this, was it the fall or summer that we basically launched it? What feedback are you hearing from the early adopters?
So the feedback's been all very positive. My favourite bit of feedback so far is from Nora from Kamati. Bear with me 2 seconds. So, quote, I want to tell you that I have finished this excellent course and I take the opportunity to thank you because I have learned many things and I hope to put them into practice in my work. From a trainer's perspective, that's music to my ears. So very happy with that.
Well, we're doing it. We're rolling out all the new value CSIA has for system integrators and vendor partners this year. If you haven't heard, we've completely revamped our content delivery strategy for 2021 to include weekly virtual events that will continue the CSIA tradition of knowledge sharing, community building, and networking, but also capitalize on the opportunities and innovation digital delivery offers. The best part is, this online strategy means anyone from your company, from the newbies to the seasoned pros, will have access to education and content that would have normally been out of reach. Don't worry, we still have all the other goodies that come with CSIA membership, including the highly valued best practices, professional services discounts, and benchmarking, training, and a completely revamped marketing toolbox. All this with no dues increase over 2020. To learn more, visit www.controlsys.org/join-2021. Let's do this. And so when people are going through the course, so you're the developer, but you're also the instructor. Do people have access to you if they have a question about some of the material, or they just kind of want to pick your brain a little bit? If they sign up for the course, do they actually get to interact with you, or do they just watching videos of you?
So the course is related around 14 modules. So there's videos with quizzes after it. We do freely offer my email address. So if anybody's got any questions either during the course or even after the course, just wants to tidy up a little bit on what they've learned, or even throw some ideas at me to get a response, very, very happy to do any of that.
So this is probably a super dumb question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. So why not? You're in Australia, you're Australian. A lot of people taking this course are US based, or certainly North America. Mm-hmm. Is there a difference between how a system integrator might operate in Australia or estimate a project versus the US? Or do you have people concerned about that?
So the actual art of estimation is a given. Doesn't matter whether you're a systems integrator, a civil engineer, or who you are. The principles of estimation are exactly the same. It's funny you should mention that. I had an interesting time because we're metric in Australia. Knowing the audience was going to be mainly US based, I had to convert a lot of things in our mythical project that we use in the course to feet and inches and gallons and things like that. So having said that, I'm old enough to have experienced imperial measurements and things like that when I was a young fellow. So it was interesting to get back to that side of things. Short answer, estimation is estimation worldwide.
Yeah, I remember as a girl going through school, and they were trying to teach us metrics, and they just never stuck. They just could never get us to really convert, despite their best efforts. So I feel you, as the kids say. So right now, a lot of companies, because of the economy, because of the pandemic, they're a little skittish about spending money. Maybe they're watching their pennies, even if they have the business, they're maybe still feeling a little shaky. So what would you say, is this really a great time for them to be spending their money on training for their folks?
So we've found that the best companies tend to use downturns to upskill their people and prepare for the inevitable increase in opportunities. Back in history, and downturns are always followed by normally some fairly steep increases in opportunities. So, this course should help companies to be able to put their best foot forward, and they'll have the correct people and correct skills available when things improve.
Is there a business case to be made too that, by investing a little bit and training people, it might help save them some money, or, help me understand the business case for making this relatively small investment in their people?
So there's a few ways that this can help them to save money. One of the things we talk about fairly seriously is around risk-based estimation. So we want to minimize your exposure for the quote. So I like to look at the estimate as being the foundation for a house. If you get the foundation right, the rest of the house is going to go together quite well. If you get the foundation wrong, it could end up anywhere. So that's one of the things I keep preaching about, is put your effort in up front to make sure that you've covered all your bases, you understand your risks, and that should help you on the way to a successful project and hopefully make a decent profit.
Yeah, I could imagine, having a person trained up and getting the bid right, even on just one project, could save quite a few bucks, right?
The cost of the course pales into insignificance, either by costing you less money or by increasing your amount of profit, one way or the other. And also, hopefully, you'll end up spending a lot less time, effort, and money on quotes that you're not going to win as well.
So you mentioned this mythical project. Tell me a little bit more about the mythical project. I don't think we're talking about unicorns here, right?
No. So we needed to have a project that people could use for examples on how you go out to subcontractors, how you evaluate different things, generally how you would actually approach putting together both your costs for the project and also the words associated with your proposal to the client. So we created a project that's based on the fizzy drink soft drink company, who have a single location at the moment, and what they want to do is expand to multiple locations across the US. So we've managed to put together a combination of locations that your company's previously worked at, locations where elsewhere within the US that you actually have a presence, and also locations where you don't have a presence. So there's a lot of little nuances in the background of what you need to think about for quite a complex quote. So that's the mythical project. There's a lot of artifacts that we've produced, a full suite of drawings and tender documents and things like that. So hopefully people get a fairly reasonable feel for what a fairly complex project would look like.
So they at first learn the concepts and then they apply them, quote unquote, in a real life example with your fizzy drinks project. Correct?
Correct. Yes.
Is there a right answer? Like when they get to the end of it, is there a right answer?
There's definitely some more right answers than others, and there's some less right answers than others.
That's very diplomatic of you, Barry.
Estimation is estimation. If it was a factual thing, it would be called factimation. So. Mm-hmm. It's just basically trying to take people on a journey and to use the grey matter in a way that may not necessarily be a normal approach for themselves. I know a lot of people out there come from an engineering background and things like that, where everything's based on evidence and proven scientific approaches and things like that. So taking people on a journey of how to minimise their risk without actually having to physically do the job, that's what we're trying to achieve with the estimation course.
What are some of the challenges that your customers are facing now?
Obviously, COVID. I think everybody's suffering from that. So, you really need a good ability to be agile in the current environment. And definitely capability development. Like I think we all have to be thinking a lot smarter, so we can hopefully work a bit smarter rather than harder in the coming months.
In your opinion, what is the biggest challenge facing the automation marketplace today and for the future?
I might sneak two in if I can. The first one's cybersecurity. I think that's crucial to the industry to survive. We've got to get a brilliant handle on making sure our systems are secure. And I think flexible project delivery. I think there's a lot of desire from customers these days to head down that sort of route. So it's more of a design as you build agile sort of approach, I think, is where we're heading.
What makes Latsa optimistic about the future of the automation industry?
I think the main thing about this sort of industry as opposed to other industries is most of the people that get into this industry are just born problem solvers. They're very used to rapid changes in technology and compliance requirements, and definitely see it as a growth industry with a lot of new opportunities out there. So I think it's future's looking good.
Yeah, I always say I feel super safe at the executive conference because it's full of engineers, and if the zombie apocalypse goes down, I know I'm going to have lights and probably refrigeration, and I want to be just fine. So why did Latsa become a member of CSIA?
Well, apart from the directors of the company, coming from an SI background, understanding SIs and really enjoying their company, we could see that there was a range of services that we could provide in an industry that we really enjoy.
What do you think is the biggest benefit of CSIA membership for Latsa?
Got great access to a really wide range of forward-thinking people.
From a supplier perspective, why should a prospective customer hire a CSIA certified member?
Most of the quality systems I've come across are very generic. The certification process shows that your company utilises systems and processes that are really targeted to the SI industry. So really, in a word, it's confidence. I actually had one company, the order for a fairly major project was just hinging on the answer to one question, which was, well, how can you show to me that your company's as good as you say you are in your proposal? So I asked him if he'd heard of the CSIA. He hadn't. I directed him to the CSIA website and just pointed out that we were a certified company within the CSIA. Next second, we had an order on the door.
Nice.
So,
nice.
Yeah, very nice. It was great.
Switching topics completely now. If you had to choose a completely different career, what would you choose?
If I was a lot younger and had the monetary backing, I'd probably become a doctor. I love understanding and fault finding complex machines, and you can't get anything more complex than the human body. So that would probably suit me very well. And I hear that the money's not too bad either. So,
I mean, nowadays it's probably not a great job, but maybe in a year or so it'll be back to being a great job. Okay, so another kind of off-topic question. What's the best advice you could give your younger self just getting started?
Besides buying Bitcoin, really. I think just to be more confident and have a slightly higher risk profile at an earlier age. I'd love to be doing what I'm doing now 20 years ago, I tell you.
I think what's tough about that is when you're younger and building a family and you have all those responsibilities, it's not necessarily that it's more of a risk in that you have more people depending on you and you're, working as a family unit. I know I spent a lot of my younger years being a freelancer, and it was, a little harrowing. But once you get older and don't have as many people depending on you, it's a little easier to take that risk when it's just yourself and you're not really impacting anybody else, I think. So I'm going to give a pat on the back to younger Barry and say, I get it, Barry.
Thank you.
Yeah. So that's it for today's episode of Talking Industrial Automation. If you're interested in learning more about Barry or Latsa, you can find them on the Industrial Automation Exchange at www.csiexchange.com. If you're interested in learning more about the CSIA estimation course, visit www.controlsys.org/win-more. Thanks for listening, and thank you, Barry, for joining me today.
My absolute pleasure, Lisa. Thank you very much.
If you enjoy this podcast, please subscribe in iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, or wherever you listen to podcasts. You can also help others find us by leaving a 5-star review and sharing your favorite episodes with colleagues. Thanks for listening to the Talking Industrial Automation podcast. Thanks also to bensound.com and Wistia for the music bumpers. Until next time.